Well, a good afternoon to you. This is the Central Florida Computer Society, the Windows Special Interest Group known as the WinSIG, and I'm Huey Poplock. I'm in Bradenton, Florida, but the meeting is actually in Orlando. Actually, it's in Castleberry, right outside of Orlando, here in Florida. And this is a monthly meeting that we have the Central Florida Computer Society. Let me make sure that we're recording. And we are. Okay, great. We got a busy meeting today, got several items to cover. And I added one since I sent out the listing yesterday or the day before and posted on Facebook and so on, because something came up, and I'll talk about that when we get to the item. And that'll be our final item today. So let's go ahead and we can minimize this. And we can close this. And let me full screen this so it doesn't get too confusing. This is the list of what we're going to cover today. I'm going to make it a little bit larger. And this is the August meeting of 2018. Wow, the years just keep piling up, don't they? And one of the first things I wanted to talk to you today is about using OneDrive in Windows 10 and how to sync and share files. I hope you're using OneDrive with your Windows. I am. And one of the main reasons I really like it is the fact that I'm able to share and get information from any of my devices, including my iPad and my Chromebook. And let's zoom in on this a little bit. And how to use OneDrive and Windows 10 to sync and share files. That's the icon for OneDrive. It's Microsoft's cloud storage. It's free with Windows 10, but it's limited. You only get 5 gigabytes, I believe, of space, and you can purchase additional space. If you are a Office 365, you get 1 terabyte per user on the account that you have. So if you have a 1-user account, you'll get 1 terabyte of storage on OneDrive. If you have the 5-user version, you will get 5 1-gigabyte drives, one for each of the users. Each user can have their own 1 terabyte of storage. Since I have a subscription, in fact, it's due in the next couple of days for another year, I pay $99.95 or something a year, $100 a year, and I'm able to update all of the Office products and use them. I can install them on my Windows machine, or I can use them in the cloud. I can also use them on 5 machines for the version that I have for $100 a year, on 5 machines with 5 different users, and they don't care. Doesn't have to be your family. So you and a couple of your friends could get together and pay the $100. So with 5 of it, $20 a piece a year, and you'll have Office 365. And each of you will have 1 terabyte of storage. You can also use the online version of Office along with that as well. Okay, the cloud storage service, OneDrive, can back up your personal files and work with files online. It's built into the Windows 10, and with it you can sync files on your Windows 10 PC to the cloud and to other Windows PCs, or to your smartphone or your tablet. For instance, I record a podcast, actually it's a radio show, every Saturday on my computer, my Windows computer, and then with a program that I have, and then I store it out on OneDrive, and I can listen to it on my iPad wherever I am, just simply by playing the audio. I play the audio version. I record the audio It's a radio program, so there is no video. And there is an app for Android or for iOS. And you can even sync your cloud files to a Mac if you have a Mac via the OneDrive desktop app. It's handy for collaboration because you can share files and not only share them, but you can share them for where both parties or with whoever you're sharing it with, they can actually edit the files as well. So it's not, okay, send me the file, I'll update it, make some changes, then I'll send it on back to you. You make some changes, send it back to me. Now we got 14 different versions sitting out there, and which one is the latest one and which one has all of the changes. If you're all working on the same file, it makes it a lot less likely for you to miss some of the changes that you're going to be doing. Okay, so here's some essentials for using the Microsoft OneDrive in Windows 10. Getting started. There are two ways to sign into OneDrive in Windows 10. When you sign into your Windows 10 with a Microsoft user account, OneDrive is already activated by default. And then if you have a free webmail account on Outlook.com, then you already have a Microsoft user account. If not, you can sign up for one for free. If you don't want to sign into Windows 10 with a Microsoft user account, you can sign in to OneDrive separately with your Microsoft user's account. A panel will open. You type in the email address and password of your user account. Individuals get, as I said, 5 gigabytes storage free. You can pay $2 a month and you get 50 gigabytes. And then there's different increments. And as I said, Office 365, you get a terabyte. Storing and syncing files versus File Explorer. Just to show you what I mean by that, let's open up my File Explorer. And you will see that's the folder that I'm using right now. And let's make this bigger. I don't know it's going to look any bigger, but at least it'll fill up the screen. And let's move this over a little bit to give us a little bit more space. There we go. And let's move up over here. You'll see I've got a Dropbox and I got folders, but notice here is OneDrive. And these are all the folders I have in my OneDrive. So if I click on OneDrive here, you will see all my folders. You'll also see a status. The status is either a cloud or a person. I always thought that was a cutoff 8, but it isn't. It's a head and shoulders. And then if we go into one of those folders, let me go into something here that I know there should be. Let's try this one. Go into this folder, and let's go into scans. Nope. I looked this morning, and I don't remember which one I looked at now. So let's find a folder again. Eagle Village. Let's see if there's something. Yeah. You'll notice there's some check marks. There's a cloud. And then as you saw in the others, sometimes there was the head. The check mark means it's both on my hard drive and in the cloud. Back in Windows 8, when OneDrive was first included with Windows, you could do what I'm showing you here. You could, if you're thinking of the fact that I have a terabyte of space out on the cloud, but if I don't have a terabyte hard drive, or if I have a lot of files on my hard drive and then want to also sync, I've got to have files on both my hard drive and the OneDrive and have them match to its syncing. Well, I can run out of space very quickly on my hard drive. So what they allowed us to do, what Microsoft allowed us to do, was to have items out on the cloud and then just point to them. And if you wanted to open that file, you were actually then downloading it to your hard drive and then opening it. And when it was on your hard drive, it would have a check mark next to it. If it was still out on the cloud and all you were doing was looking at a pointer, it had the little cloud next to it. Microsoft, in their infinite wisdom, when Windows 10 came out, took that away from us and said, if you're going to have OneDrive, you're going to match it up on your hard drive. So I stopped using it. In one of the recent updates, and I believe it was a year ago, in the 2017, one of the 2017 updates, they brought it back. So it's now, I can have a lot of files. I can have up to a terabyte out there on the cloud, and I might only have, in fact, if we look to see, I did it this morning, I think I have 63 gigabytes on my hard drive from the OneDrive that match, and then all the rest are all the rest of it is stored out on the cloud. So anything that's out on the cloud, which would be all of it, anything that's in OneDrive is out on the cloud as well as being local, I can then share with somebody. So let's see, let's just go out to, let's see, an activity sheet. I'm going to right mouse click, and let's see, I think I have to do it with the, I'm not, let's see if we take the file, and let's see if there's a share here, share. I click on share. I can share it with somebody, anybody that's in my mail, notes. There's different places that I can find people in which to share it. I can share that item with individuals. I can share it, I believe, with the world, and there's ways to do that as well. This item will be shared, and then I could say with me, more people. I can save it with mail, and there's a way to get the actual link to it, and then share that link to either one person or give them a password for it. So, as I said, I have out on something I call radio recordings, and I delete them so I don't have a lot of files out there. I record the Kim Commando show from radio, and then I can play them back at my leisure off my iPad with my headset at when I'm laying in bed at night and I can't sleep. I'll listen to the Kim Commando show. So I use the let's go ahead and close this out. So that's how you can store and sync the files in with your OneDrive and match them up. You can have them on demand, which means that's where the cloud is, and then I can click on it and it'll download it to me. And there's ways to set that up. This article does go into that. I'm not going to go into exactly how you do it. I just wanted to show you that it's important to know that you can and use it. As I say, I can go onto my Chromebook and open up any of the files that I have in my or on the cloud, on the OneDrive cloud storage, so I can then either edit it or look at it or use it, read it, and so on. Seeing if there's anything else here. You can share, as I mentioned, you can share a link. And this, as I say, this article that I'm looking at from Computer World shows you how to do all of these things. So rather than me go through it all now, and then you'll have to go back to the article anyway to remember it. You can stop sharing, by the way. So once you've shared it, doesn't mean it's always shared. You can stop that sharing. But sometimes when I've had a large video file that's several gigabytes, I can't put it somewhere, and I certainly can't send it to somebody. But I can create a link, and I don't have to upload it to a service. I don't have to put it anywhere. I can just say, okay, Stan, here's a link to that file. Go ahead and download it or copy it to your computer. And I give him the link, and he can copy it and then use it, say, at a TechSig meeting or another meeting if he wanted to, if it was a large enough file. Or if it's a meeting I'm not going to be at, and I say, here, why don't you go ahead and play this recording that I've already done, and it's several gigabytes. It's a video, so it's several gigabytes big. We don't have to figure out a way to get it to Stan. Stan can simply go to the link and download it and have it on the computer that he's going to use to demonstrate or to use in the meeting. Any questions from the audience on that? I hope you're using it.
I had not been aware that they took away the stipulation that it had to be in 2 places. I thought that was horrible. I just didn't. I'll have to start. I'll try it out again.
Yeah, it certainly makes it more useful. Okay, let's go to the next item. Okay, what's an RTF file? RTF is not with the F what you sometimes think of when you give a quick answer to something. It's a file extension, and what it is a rich text format. Back in the early days of computing, every program had its own format. If you had a Word file, you had a Word file. Nobody else could open it. If you had a WordPerfect file, you had a WP file, and no one else could open it. And somewhere along the way, somebody came up with the RTF file, which was a rich text format, which you could have some formatting, and then all of the programs could read it. One of the big users of RTF files was Microsoft Works. Works had its own files, a WKS and a WK, I can't remember what the Works, maybe they were all WKSs, but the word processing of Works, you could save as an RTF file. And when you opened a file with Word, what do I want here? I'm having a senior moment here. When WordPad, the default to WordPad is an RTF file. So if you click on an RTF file, it generally will open up WordPad. But if you have an RTF file, you can also open it with Word, and there are several other programs, including the Office, Open Office, and the other free Office program you can use with RTF. So, what is it? It's just it's got formatting. It saves information about fonts and some ways in which you set up the page and so on. And so, how do you open it? Well, you can open it with LibreOffice, OpenOffice, Abbey Word, and Microsoft Word, and as I said, WordPad as well. Now, most file syncing services like Dropbox, OneDrive, and Google Drive have built-in viewers that let you at least read an RTF file. Now, if you have an old Works program and you used it a lot, and you have you've since upgraded and updated your computers, you don't have it anymore, but you do have the files that were saved in Works. If you can get that Works program to reinstall and open up with Works and then resave the file as an RTF file, all those files are no longer lost. You can use them. I've had several people say, gee, I lived on Microsoft Works for years. I have all these files in Works and I can't open them with anything. And what I say is, well, let's see if we can find your old Works program, see if we can install it, open up the files in Works, and then save them as an RTF file. So that's one of the reasons RTF is very important, is the fact that you can use it amongst the newer programs. However, the newer programs pretty much can open each other's files anymore. Let's see what else they do say with this. How do you want to open this file? And you can say you want to open it with WordPad, and you can say you always want WordPad to open it, and it will be the default. How to convert? Well, one of the ways that you can convert a file is, let's open up Word. I'm going to be using Word quite a bit in the next items as well, but if you open up Word and let's see if we can find a file here that these are PDFs. Open other documents. Well, let's just go back. We'll just open up a blank file and we'll type in hello. Okay, now if I wanted to save this as an RTF file, I go to File, Save As. I say Browse, and let's say we're going to leave it to, we're going to do it to the Documents folder, Hello Doc CX. However, I can change this, and you'll notice that I have a bunch of choices, and amongst those choices, you'll see a rich text format. So if I take this file and I got to move some things out of the way that you don't see here, and I save it, and I'm saving it to the documents. Okay, so it's out there. So I'm going to go ahead and close Word. And now I'm going to go to my folders, and I'm going to go to Documents, and I'm going to come down to Hello. It's right here, RTF. If I double click that, I've got it defaulting to Word, so it opens up in Word. So let's go ahead and close it again. This time I'm going to right mouse click, and I'm going to say Open With. And it says Word, look for apps, okay, or other options. More apps. This time I'm going to choose WordPad. And I can then click here and say, always use this app to open RTF files. So I can change the default at this point by just clicking there. I'm not going to do it, but I'm going to open it in WordPad. And when we open it in WordPad, there it is in WordPad. And there's my hello file. So the RTF file, you can save your file along as an RTF, or you can open up RTF files from within Word.
Huey?
Yes.
I got a couple of comments. You phrased something in a way that I think could cause some confusion.
Okay.
If you want to use WordPad, you don't have to install Works at all.
Oh, that's
I like WordPad, and I use it almost exclusively. And I use the Office 2003 version, because of 2010 and later, they looked almost as complicated as Word. I can't find save, I can't find print. So I have an EXE that I put on any machine that I'm going to work on for a while, and I put the icon on my desktop, and I just install that 2000 version of Word. It's very simple, and it works perfectly. And then the second thing is that, and I think Mike commented on this in his chat, you can save in any word processor, whether it's OpenOffice or Word Perfect or anything. Gives you the choice to save as a Word, a rich text file. And then if you send that to somebody, if they don't have a program, for example, if they don't happen to have Office, the latest version on Office, they can open it with anything they want.
That's
Even Total Commander has a way to open it. The viewer, and you can edit it within there, and it's very, very simple. Keep it simple, stupid. That's my motto.
right, and you're correct. The point I was trying to make was a lot of times people used Microsoft Works several years ago, not Word, but Works. That was a very inexpensive Office program.
Yes, and they do have a captive file. Yep.
And they have their own format, but they also allowed you to save it as an RTF. And that was the point I was trying to make, that you might have, if you have old Works files, you may have to go back in and reinstall Works and open those files and convert them to an RTF file.
Right.
But yeah, everything you said is absolutely correct. Did you have another comment?
No, that was it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see. I'm going to skip past. I know we're going to. It's important, and I'm definitely coming back to the CCleaner. But I do, since we're talking about Microsoft Word documents and so on, I'm going to go to the how to convert a PDF to Word. And let's say you have a PDF file and you want to open it in Word so you can actually edit and change it or use part of it and so on. It's fairly easy to do and it's real easy to do if you own Acrobat DC. Owning Acrobat DC is a $449 program, or there's a monthly charge. And to see if I click on this, it's $12.99 a month, and then the Pro version is $14.99 a month. I'm sure most of you don't want to spend that to just occasionally change a PDF file to Word. So, what's the best way to do it? Let's see, I need to not minimize, but change this so it's not full screen. I've got some things on top, some menus that are part of Zoom that have built up here, and so we're okay now. All right. Okay, so Acrobat Reader, for instance, there is a way to do it in Acrobat Reader. And no, I don't want to install it now because I've got it installed. So hang on, I clicked on the wrong thing. I did this earlier. Let's open up the folders. Okay, I'm making it difficult here. Hang on one second. Let me move this out of the way. Come over here. And I've got some PDFs. Let's open up a PDF file. This was one I liked working with, I think. No, that was a long one. So we're going to close that. And I closed the wrong thing, I think. I did. So let me come back here. And go to PDFs. And it was this one here. Okay, I found this nice article in Computer World, had saved it to a PDF file, or somebody did. And notice it says export PDF. This is in the free Acrobat Reader DC. However, you can export that PDF, but when I click on that and say, okay, I want to do that, I want to convert it to Word, and so then I say, okay, let's go ahead and convert. I need a paid account. So you can't really do it without paying for it. However, if you use it enough, it's only $2 a month to export a PDF. Again, if you want to go to the Pro, it's $15 a month. But if you have enough conversions you want to do and use the Acrobat, you can do it for $2 a month, or we're talking about $24 a year. Not half bad. But let's go back to our Adobe Acrobat file. No, I want to. There are some other things that we can do. And so if we go to this article, I had it up there, but we'll get it here. That's where it says we could export and so on, and then but it costs you money. Now you can convert a PDF to Word document using Microsoft Word. And yeah, there's a big explanation on how to do it and so on, but let's go ahead and just open up Word. Okay, I'm just going to say no for that. And I'm going to say recent. Let's see, I want to open other documents. I played around with it earlier today, so they're showing up, but I deleted it. So we want to go and browse. Should go to the folder, and it didn't, so we'll go ahead and go to the Windows SIG Virtual. Come down to the date, today's date. Go into the PDFs. There's our PDFs, and there is the one that we're talking about, and we say open. Okay, Word will now convert your PDF to an editable Word document. This may take a while, and it takes a few seconds. Some of them are fairly long if they're fairly long files. It's opening up Word. It opens it up in protected mode. Actually, it's doing better than what it did earlier for me. If I enable editing, I say OK. I don't know if you can see down here at the bottom. And we are now in a Word document in which I can take anything, highlight it. I can type in and add more if I wanted to. I can take the picture. I can highlight it. I can right mouse click. I can save the picture and so on right out of it. The article is there. I can take any bits and pieces. I can move things around. I can take a paragraph and say, okay, let's move it to the end here, and it's moved it to the end. In other words, it's a fully editable, right now read-only PDF file. I'm sorry, a Word document. But if we do a file and save as, and we say, let's see, we can leave it right where it is. We're going to save it as a Word document, keep the same name. I'm going to put a 1 at the end of it just in case, or a 2, let's put a 2 there, just in case there's another file by that name, and I'm going to go ahead. Instead of saying PDF, we want to save it as a Word doc. So what we're going to do is save as to this PC, save it. Let's go to more options, just see what we've got here. Okay, we're saving it as a doc file, and we tell it to save. And now if we look here, we have that same file as a doc file. So if I open it here, there it is. And it's that easy to change it to a doc file. You can take any doc file and do a file and save as, and one of the choices there is a PDF. So if you ever want a PDF of a document you're working on or you have stored and you want to share with somebody, you don't want them to edit it. You just want to send it as a PDF file, which is usually a smaller file anyway, or a small file, but it'll have all the pictures. It'll have it just the way you want it to look like, and you just save it as a PDF. When you click there, tell it to save, it now has added, right there it is right now. So now it's added the PDF file I just created from that doc file. And when I open it, now we're in the PDF, we're in the DC reader, and you can see it. Now there are programs you can buy out there all day long that will do what we just did. They might do it a little easier, but this is free if you already own Word, or I am not sure if the free version, online version of Word will allow you to do this. You may have to have Office 365. I've not tried that.
Huey,
Yes.
won't OpenOffice or Office Libra do it? And what is there are a number of other PDF viewers that are free that I believe also can do the same thing. They can convert to Word. I'm trying to remember the one that I use, and I can't. It's one of the more popular ones.
I have used and tried some of the free ones, and I'm not talking about OpenOffice or LibreOffice. Yes, I believe they'll do the same thing that I just showed you. But some of the conversion programs, when you go to do what I just did, what you'll notice is a paragraph will actually be a JPEG of that paragraph rather than the paragraph. And that's something you have to be careful of when you're testing it to see if it's always going to work the way you want it to. Sometimes they don't do the OCR. They just make a picture of a paragraph or a page or part of a page and so on. So there can be some issues. So you want to don't wait till the last minute if there's something you're going to want to do. Test it out first. But in a lot of the cases, you can do it fairly easy the way I showed you. If you can remember back and I don't know if there's many people there in the audience that remember the CFCS meetings when we were meeting at the high school after our group ballooned up to over 1,000 members. Adobe came to our meeting to do a presentation of Acrobat shortly after they came out with it. And at that time, the reader was not free. You had to buy the reader, and there was no other way in which you could save it or save as a PDF and use it. And I can remember, is Ted there today?
Yes.
I can remember Ted raising his hand in that meeting and saying, "Why wouldn't you have a free reader?" And they must have listened to him because they came out with one a couple of years later. And now, of course, Adobe Acrobat is a standard, and they either licensed it or went into the free domain. I'm not sure which, but now there's so many different ways in which you can save as a PDF and also open PDFs. Okay, let's go ahead and close that and go back to our meeting notes. And I can close this. Close this. And now I want to go back. I know that many in our group live by CCleaner. And the C, of course, meaning crap cleaner, is what it started out as, and then they changed it to CCleaner. However, I don't know if a lot of you know that about a month ago, well, it was a few months ago, Avast actually bought the company that CCleaner had, which was Paraform, and they've been slowly been making changes in CCleaner. And this article wasn't written by me; it was written by one of the big technology. Let's see, how do I close this out? Well, let's full screen that and see if I can get that out of there. There must be a way, but I don't see it. I don't want to opt in. Anyway, in Avast's short tenure, CCleaner apparently has had some issues with malware, bundled software, and pop-up ads, and so there have been some problems. Avast is according to this the series of articles that are out there, has been ruining CCleaner. The changelog for CCleaner 5.45 lists in this release we've made some stability improvements and added better reporting as to deliver faster bug reports and so on. When you run the updated version, you'll notice some worrying changes. Some active monitoring refuses to stay turned off, and the privacy settings have been removed for the free version. Avast has also stopped users from being able to quit the software. Yeah, really. And what people were having to do was to actually go out to Task Manager and close it out through Task Manager. So they're suggesting, number one, you disable the monitoring in CCleaner, disable the startup item of the application, don't delete it because it will be recreated automatically, and then forcefully terminate CCleaner using the Task Manager. There's also some privacy concerns, and I'll instead of just reading the article, the link is there. Go ahead and take a look at it. And they are making some changes to try to clean it up, but it's, once a company screws up a program, it's a lot harder to get the confidence back of the users. So there's certainly some issues out there. Now, the next article about this that I've referenced is CCleaner's Sketchy data collection features automatically re-enables itself. In other words, if you turned off the information, the monitoring then disabled active monitoring. When you restarted it, it's enabled again. And so this went on, and so the next article I found was, here's what you should use instead of CCleaner. This was dated August 2nd, which is what, 10 days ago. So CCleaner just became worse. We haven't been huge fans of CCleaner for quite a while, the author of this. You can free up space. To access free up space tool in Windows 10, you can go to Settings, System, and Storage. So let's do that. Settings, System, and then come down here to Storage. You'll see here, free up space now. You'll see that I've got 128 gigs free out of 223, so I'm a little bit less than half there. I'm getting up there on my D drive. I know I got a bunch of stuff I can delete from both of them, but let's take a look at the free up space now. Notice it goes out and it looks to see, okay, thumbnails, temporary recycle bin, temporary internet files. It's still looking. Notice some of those are just in the megabyte. But when I did the update, there's almost 7 gigabytes sitting out there that I can get rid of as well. And I can then mark which ones of these I want. This is right in Windows, so I don't need CCleaner to do this. If I selected everything, it's set a little over 7 gigabytes. And I tell it, go ahead and free it up, and it'll get rid of it. So let's go back to the article. And that's what it's showing you here. You can manage your startup programs. CCleaner allows you to do that. Windows 10 has it built in. So Windows 10 Startup Manager. Head to Settings, Apps, and Startup. So we're going to go to Settings. Okay, let's see, you got to come back here. Go to Apps and Startup. If you remember, this is only in this latest update to Windows. Before that, you had to go to a different place for startup. But there's all of the startup programs that I have. And I can say apps to be configured to start when I log in. So all the programs that are set to start automatically when I start my Windows are marked as on. Well, you know what? I don't want that Garmin. I don't need Garmin on. Where is it here? I just saw it. There it is. And I shut it off every time I do one of these meetings, and I remember I got to turn that off. I just shut it off right here like that. And it will now, next time I boot, it will not start up automatically. But these are all the programs that I start up now. And I can turn any of them off from this particular place. So that's what they're telling you here. Clear your browsing tracks and make your browser always start in private browsing mode. Find files wasting space in your computer. To hunt down what's actually using space, install a disk space analyzer like WinDirstat, and they have a link to that, so you can then go ahead and install it. Encrypt your hard drive disk to really cover your tracks, and they tell you how you can do that. How to download an older version of CCleaner that doesn't have the issues the new one has, and this article tells you how to do that as well. Any questions on CCleaner? Or any comments? I'm not hearing you. I'm hearing somebody asking a question.
Yeah,
but
Dick Vogel is asking a question. Let me have him repeat it again.
Do you recommend just deleting CCleaner and not using it at all?
Now, apparently this article, I don't use it. So and I get along fine without it. I think because of some of the privacy issues and so on, it is gathering some information. I might suggest that you uninstall it. Yes. And then kind of watch the articles to see if they fix it.
Someone is recommending Glary Utilities. I've used that and I like it a lot. And frankly, I thought I had heard that CCleaner was being pegged as sort of a problematic program. I think it was Windows 10 and somebody else, maybe Microsoft, were recommending, even bought by Avast.
Yeah,
So
Avast did buy them, and let's see, James Martis says CCleaner was taken down the latest upgrade and has gone back to 5.44 prior to the bad changes. And on Mike Ungerman said on one computer, I noticed that Avast was installed, and I know where it came from. Now I know where it came from. And then, oh, I got a script. Gives you the option to clean up everything that's CCleaner. Bob from the Sun City Computer Group wrote a neat script that cleaned up your hard drive from a series of prompts from series of batch files from a prompt that did all of the things that CCleaner did. So there's other ways in which you can do it. But I know a lot of you use CCleaner, and I wanted to make sure that I got that information out to you. And I know the Central Iowa group also is going to have a discussion about that later this week. Okay. Malware. I'll come back to this. Let's go to malware since we're talking some malware. Malwarebytes has introduced a new browser extension. I have it installed, and it's right up here in this article on this page. When I click on it, let's see if you can see that. I'm not sure if you can see it. Can I move it? No, I don't think it can move. Okay, there's something covering on my screen. I don't know whether you see it or not, but you can enable the protection from this site by clicking that. There's a number 26, and that explore Malwarebytes cybersecurity solutions and settings. You can go in and you can enable malware protection, enable scam protection, enable PUP protection, and so on from this extension. It is a beta. But so a lot of what some of you have purchased and installed Malwarebytes, you can do from a browser extension. These are the allowed list. So you can tell it, okay, allow some things, and then protect me from these things. And then there's an about. Malwarebytes is a next-gen cybersecurity company that millions worldwide trust. Malwarebytes proactively protects people and businesses against dangerous threats. And it does send some information to Malwarebytes if that's checked.
what browser does that work on?
Let's see if we can go to their website. I know it's obviously is Chrome, and I believe Firefox. Let's go to Malwarebytes. I can't remember the extension they use, so let's find it here. Home, Business, Explorer, free. Because it's beta, I may have to go back to that article. Because it won't be on their website. Is one of the better tools. Simply called Malwarebytes extension, browser extension. It blocks malicious filters out unwanted information. Chrome and Firefox now. But as you can see up in the corner, it does give me some information. There's a number there, and for the likes, I have no idea what that number means. It doesn't tell you when you click on it. So there must be a place I'd have to do some more reading on it. But I did want you to be aware that that's out there. It is in beta. And some of you who like to block things and try things, some of these protection items you like to look at, you might want to take a look at. The other article that, let's see, how are we doing in time? We're getting there, so I posted this last month. We didn't get to it. We didn't really talk about it. Ed Bott is one of the leading Microsoft Windows writers, and he does have a lot of really good information on here. How to install, reinstall, upgrade, and activate Windows 10. All of these are links that will take you to information about these items, download, version, and information, the update history, and when I click on that, it'll show you all of the updates, or where you can find more information about them. There's all of the recent updates, and update for Windows 10 version 1803, and it gives you some information there. And can't wait, get the updates for the April. It's where you can get it if you haven't gotten it already. Let's see here. Troubleshooting tools. The Windows Cisternal suite is still available, and there's some of them have been recently updated for Windows 10. Documentation for IT pros in some of the places on configuring Windows 10, deploying and updating Windows 10, Windows privacy, troubleshooting Windows 10. Lots of really good articles out there, and this is a link to all of them. The Windows Insider program for those of you who like to do the beta testing. Really good article because it's got so many different links and places to find more information. Hang on one second. Okay. Now, the other article, and this got a couple of emails going in the CFCS forum for the TechSig, and that is what is 5G and how to make it, life better. Let me make this larger. And will this slide over more? I don't think it will. What is 5G? It's got nothing to do with Windows, by the way. It is another way of connecting the internet through the internet fast. Everybody loves speedy internet. It's no surprise that every major telecom in the world is working to make it even faster. Smartphones, watches, homes, cars are increasingly requiring stable internet connections. Similar to 4G, and by the way, the G stands for generation. And there's 4G, 3G before it, and 5G is a wireless connection built specifically to keep up with the proliferation of devices that need mobile internet connection. It's not just your phone and your computer anymore either. Home appliances, door locks, security cameras, cars, wearables, dog collars, and wearable dog collar. And many other inert devices are beginning to connect to the web. Gartner predicts that 2.8 billion devices will be connected to the internet by 2020. 2020 is a year and a half away. By comparison, there are currently an estimated 6.4 billion connected devices in the world. That's a lot more devices asking for quick connection.
That's incredible.
To make 5G the future of wireless internet a little easier to understand, they broke it down exactly to what it is and how it'll make your life better. I'm not going to read this to you. It can get pretty boring. And some of you might not even be interested, except just think of it as it's a new generation and a new way in which people will be able to connect to the internet. It's going to require new modems. It is, or routers. It is going to require new smartphones that are able to get 4G. The ones now that you have either are getting 3G or 4G, and they may not even be using 4G. Some of the older ones only get 3G. And then companies added the LTE, or long-term evolution, to 4G. So there's the LTE that's out there as well, which is really a format of 4G, and it's probably very highly used. I know my phone's got a LTE. I'm on AT&T, and most of the major companies, I believe, I can say confidently, use LTE now. 5G is going to be altogether new and different. It's built on some new released, what's the word, spaces in the spectrum for mobile devices. And so there's nothing there now, and the government released it. The different companies bid on a certain amount of it, and 5G will make it easier for people to download and upload Ultra HD and 3D video and 4K and so on. It'll also make room for the thousands of internet-connected devices entering our world every day. Is it really faster? Yes. Speeds will be significantly faster. Currently, 4G LTE transfers speeds top out at about 1 gigabyte per second. That means it takes about an hour to download a short HD movie in perfect conditions. The problem is people rarely experience 4G's maximum download speed because the signal can be disrupted by so many different things: buildings, microwaves, and other Wi-Fi signals. The list goes on and on. 5G will increase download speeds up to 10 gigabits per second. That means a full HD movie can be downloaded in a matter of seconds. It'll also reduce the latency significantly, giving people faster load times. In short, it will give wireless broadband the capacity it needs to power thousands of connected devices to reach our homes and places. And then it goes on and talks about how it works. I was reading the one article that in the forum, and I probably ought to add this to the list on my page, and I will. I'll go out and find that article of some of the dangers of 5G, and I don't know the validity of that article. But it did say that it's going to require a lot more towers closer together, and it's an infrastructure that's not there, so they're building it from scratch. So you're going to have to see in the areas in which 5G will become available, they're going to have to start putting up special towers, or not towers necessarily, but at least the things that go on the towers to make it so that you can get 5G. So not everyone will get 5G at the same time. Not all areas will have it available. And that was the case with 4G, and I'm sure 3G before that only certain areas got it at first, and then more and more, and it just built from there. But all of your major phone companies have bid and do have something in the pot on all of this, and then I'm sure they'll resell some of it to the lesser expensive and cheaper phone companies that are out there down the road as well. This article says it's already available in some test locations around the U.S. This week, at Mobile World Congress, Verizon announced that it's begun limited trials of 5G in Texas, Oregon, and New Jersey. AT&T announced it will begin testing 5G in its own labs before hosting fixed trials. And then, although Verizon and AT&T, the nation's two biggest internet service providers, are already testing 5G, don't expect to see it anytime soon. Most experts predict that 5G won't be widely available until 2020. But, 2020 is only, as I said, a year and a half away. So it's going to be worth the wait, provided that it all works, provided there aren't dangers. Will Robinson mentioned in the article that somebody noted in the forum that I'll post. And you're starting to see cars that will automatically have internet on when you buy the car, or you probably will have to pay for the service, but it will be built in, so you'll have always on internet in your cars. George, I need to somehow get you So your video is off. Not sure how that happened, but okay, you went away. I hope you didn't go away. I hope you just your picture went away. Yeah. Okay. So we'll have to see what's going to happen there. Any questions about 5G from the audience?
Looks like we're good.
Okay, let me see what's online here. Yeah, somebody said, could you post the link? Somebody did put it in the notes, but there's a couple of articles here. I'll take a look at them and then I'll post them on the web page because I'm not sure what these articles are. And then the other one is out in the forum, so I will definitely get them up. And who was that asked? Bob. Okay. So I'll get those on the page. So it's 5G is coming, folks. Like it or not, and you'll probably like it because it's going to be super fast. However, you're going to have to buy a new phone to make it work, and of course, it's probably going to be on the more expensive phones first. And so it looks like the default is around $1,000 anymore for a 2-year-old, for a phone that lasts no more than 2 years and that's out of date. So figure $500 a year for a phone. Unbelievable. Okay, let's go back to my final item for today. And that has to do is if you shopped at these 15 stores in the last year, your data might have been stolen. And the reason I added this to the list, since I sent my note out, since I sent my email out, is I got them in the mail actually yesterday, a new credit card again for one of my, I have 4 credit cards, but one is one I use the most, and that has probably changed numbers probably 6 or 8 times in the last couple of years. And it's all been because of these types of things. So they sent it to me, the bank sent it to me saying that we're changing because you have done business with and have an account at a business that's been affected by a breach or by, I forgot how they worded it. They do not mention the name of the company, and I wouldn't expect them to. But then this article is very important because if you shopped at any of these stores, your data might have been stolen. So if all that you do to protect yourself and the stores aren't protecting you as well as they should have or could have, and these are the stores that if you bought anything in the last year, your data may have been stolen. So let's go down the list. Macy's, Adidas, Sears, and Kmart, basically the same company, Delta Airlines, Best Buy, Saks Fifth Avenue, Lord & Taylor, Under Armour's, Panera Bread, Forever 21, Sonic, Whole Foods, GameStop, or Arby's. If you've done business with any of those places and charged using your credit card or your debit card, a possibility is your name and information may have been breached, and the bad guys may have it, may never use it, but the possibility is there. You need to be monitoring your accounts every month, so that if you see something that is awkward or is not something that you purchased, you need to contact your bank or your agency, your issuing agency, as quickly as possible, and only do it from the back of your card, the phone number in the back of your card. Don't ever do it from an email that you receive. Always do it from the number on the back of your card. And with that, Stan, any comments?
No, I think we're good. Anybody have any questions or anything they'd like to comment more about?
Yeah.
Ted?
Ask him if the big viewer is still available in Windows 10.
Event viewer availability in Windows 10. That's a yes, isn't it?
I believe so.
I think so.
Can you take a look at it?
I didn't hear the come back after I said yes.
Open it up.
Can you open it, please?
Oh,
Yes.
event viewer? We'll look for it, see what we find. There's event viewer. We'll make it larger. Custom views. Oh, it's populating.
Was there a specific point or question you had? This is a very complicated issue, not something 2 minutes, but give it a shot.
I know. Go to the first sub item.
Custom views. Here.
Yeah, administrative views.
Administrative events. Okay.
Well, you don't have a good list, right?
I can't hear what he says.
He said it much shorter than what he gets.
It's probably something like this. This, by the way, is what the scam artists use, because you'll always have issues that will show up here and they'll make it sound like your computer is malfunctioning.
Yeah. Are you familiar with S-channel error?
S-channel error.
No, I'm not. I'd have to do. That's what Google's for.
Well,
That's what I would use it for. So you asked me. That's what I'd have to look it up.
Huey, I've got some comments I'd like to make.
Sure.
When we talked yesterday, we did a run through to make sure we were connecting okay, and we commented about, and it was on these companies, and also he had in his announcement talked about the number of companies that are closing. So we talked a bit about how Sears, for example, and the statistic that I think I had down properly is that 10 years ago they had something like 5,900 stores. And when they just announced a few months ago that they were closing 75, that's out of the remaining 590, something in that range. So they've lost 90% of their stores. So I mentioned to him that I had been in the Sanford store 2 days ago. I had several other things to do up that area. And I had not realized that they had downsized years ago and no longer had clothing, for example. But somebody told me that he heard that Altamont was closing as well. And I had not known that because that was not in their ads. It was not in the initial announcement. It was not in the first wave. I went there yesterday. They are closing, I think, September 21st. But it was a mess. I mean, they had fewer employees, I guess, and so the clothes were just in shambles. It was hard to find anything. And on a bigger scale, what I'm feeling is that our choice of where to buy things is being limited, and Amazon to me is a big part of it because they are selling it lower than the stores can because they don't make a profit on what they sell. They make a profit on selling advertising and on having stores that pay them to be in there. And so they're making money, but they're forcing stores out of business. So our ability to choose is being limited. And I was reminded of that when you were talking about how it's going to be $1,000 a year to have a phone if you want to keep up with 5G. Well, nobody's chaining you to the desk. Nobody's saying you have to buy it. You can use older technology. It's just like many of us haven't bought a new car in a while because the depreciation on that first year, there's Brookstone giving up the ghost. Just the times are a changing, and I don't think it's necessarily for the best.
Yeah, this is the article that he's referring to that I mentioned, that Brookstone is going to close all of their stores except 35 airport locations. But all of the ones in the malls. But if you've been in their stores recently in any of the malls, there's very few people there, and most of them are just browsing. Most of the items you can find anywhere is a lot cheaper.
Yep.
Including Amazon. So you go to Brookstone, you take a look at it. You play with it, and then you go home and you order it on Amazon. Well, that's not a good business structure if you were Brookstone, and so it's understandable why they would close. And yes, it's true in malls, and I've written some articles about malls and how I actually compare user groups to malls, because a lot of the malls are reinventing themselves. The Brookstones are going away, but they're bringing in other things and updated things going on in the malls to attract people to come, to replace things like Brookstones that are going out and Sears that are going out. And then other malls are just slowly disintegrating, and a lot of them are just closing up and going away, getting bulldozed, and housing developments are being built there. So it's a matter of taking the chance and trying to reinvent yourself, or just to simply disappear. And yeah, I agree with you, Stan. How often do we go to a store, look at something, and then go home, and then go to Amazon or to one of the other places, and then look around to see where we can find it the cheapest, because we don't need support. All we want to do is get the item and plug it in, or get it and do whatever we're going to do with it. And in a lot of cases, it doesn't require any support, even computers these days. And so what we do is we find the cheapest and quickest way to get it, and the least invasive as far as time and trouble goes. And what's better than you go online, you order it, and it's delivered to your front door. And yeah, Amazon has made a huge difference in our lives just in the last few years. And we don't talk about it in our user group meetings, and that's why I did at least talk about it in the forum, and I'm glad we're doing it here as well. It's a shame in some ways, but things are, as you say, things are just changing, and life as we knew it when we were younger is totally different. We used to go to Woolworths and go through the records in the record department, and then we'd go sit at the fountain and have a sandwich, and then maybe go buy some items that were out on a counter that you could go through and touch, and then pick up and purchase, and then leave. And all that's gone now.
One of my complaints with retail stores is they come themselves in.
Can you get him to the microphone, or repeat what he said?
Dick Vogel is making some comments. He's a little far away.
Okay.
Has done themselves in one way. I am forever looking for an item. I go to the store and they don't.
He's talking about how retail stores have shot themselves in their foot, in a sense, because he looks for an item in a place, and their stock selection is becoming less and less varied.
But I can get it on Amazon.
Well, I still like being able to go into like a Home Depot or a place like that and look at the various types, and I don't know. That is old school, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
Marshall just made a really good point.
Having stuff delivered because they don't want to take the time. My daughter, for example, with a 6-year-old, she's an executive, and she, to get in a car seat and drive someplace and get the stroller and all that, and then have to, for toilet paper or, paper towels, who needs it? She loves having the ship.
Yeah,
We're gonna call, we have not heard from our speaker yet, but we need to take a pit stop and,
okay, there's some comments from the online people I'd like to go through before we cut it off.
sure.
And one of the things about this shopping items and so on is, isn't this the same evolution we went through before malls came to town?
Yep, absolutely.
You know, we had the local store owners all over the place, and then the malls came in and put them out of business.
Yep.
And that's a really good point. Thank you, Marshall. And then James Martis said, in the email advertisement I received from Books A Million, they offer online customers about twice the discount on prices than they do in the actual stores, in hopes they can convert customers to online book purchasing. And then Mike said, we went to Ollie's this week. Great place to browse for unique and inexpensive stuff. Even if some of it's available on Amazon. So, okay, with that, let me bring back my logo. So when I cut out the recording, this will be at the end. But thanks for joining us. This has been the Central Florida Computer Society's Windows Special Interest Group, or the WinSIG, meeting for Sunday, August 12th, 2018. I'm Huey Poplock. I'm glad you joined us, whether you were in the meeting in Castleberry of the Central Florida Computer Society or you joined us online. Thanks for joining, and we'll be back next month. Make sure you sign up at huey.net for my monthly newsletter so you can know what we're talking about and where the links are, and a link to this video as well. Thanks. See you next time.
Huey.